Before you scroll, before you spend another quarter, look at what's already in your hand. I'm dead serious. Check your pocket now. Because today, we're exposing Washington quarters people are throwing away without a second thought, while collectors are quietly fighting over them behind closed doors. If the last number on the date is a 3, 8, 9, 2, or 4, you could be holding hidden wealth and not even know it. These coins don't look rare. That's the trap. No shine, no warning, just a silent fortune slipping through fingers every single day. Nobody talks about these. But at real auctions, there's shock. There's tension. There's serious money. Do not spend these coins. Every coin in this video gets rarer, scarier, and more valuable, and the one at the end changes everything. Stay with me. First up, this is one of those coins that scares collectors because it looks too normal. If I dropped this quarter on a table, you'd hear the sound and think nothing of it. And that exact sound, that casual clink, is how people accidentally lose life-changing money. The 1973 Washington quarter without a mint mark is a silent threat hiding in plain sight. And most people never realize what they had until it's already gone. Here's why this year matters. 1973 wasn't calm in America. It was pressure, economic stress, inflation climbing. The country was adjusting to a new financial reality, and the U.S. Mint was under intense production demand. Millions of coins had to be made fast, accurately, and cheaply. That kind of pressure doesn't create perfection. It creates mistakes, weak strikes, stressed dies, and coins that were never meant to survive the way this one did. That environment is exactly how rare coins are born. Now look at the coin itself. On the front, George Washington's profile doesn't scream luxury. It feels serious, heavy. The lettering hugs the rim tightly, and on genuine examples, the details feel slightly compressed, like the coin was fighting its way out of the press. Flip it over, and the eagle on the reverse looks powerful but restrained, wings spread with a quiet authority. This design wasn't meant to be flashy. That's why people miss it. The metal composition is the classic post-1965 copper-nickel clad. But here's the thing. Under stress, that layered structure reacts differently. The coin feels solid in the hand. About 5.67 grams, roughly 24.3 millimeters in diameter. Thickness just under 1.8 millimeters. When you roll it between your fingers, there's a firmness that collectors notice instantly. The reeded edge, its girth, should feel sharp, not soft. That physical presence matters more than people think. And survival? That's the real miracle. These quarters were made to circulate, to be abused, dropped, scratched, and forgotten. Very few made it through decades of use without being cleaned, polished, or damaged. That's why original circulated examples with natural wear and untouched surfaces are so rare today. The dirt, the darkness, that antique grey tone, that's not damage. That's proof of life. That's history clinging to metal. Do not clean this coin. Ever. Cleaning doesn't improve it, it destroys it forever. One swipe, one polish, and collectors are gone. Original toning is everything. That slightly uneven color, the soft dullness, even minor grime in the lettering, that's what serious buyers want. It tells them the coin hasn't been messed with. Now here's where obsession kicks in. The missing mint mark. No little letter. No shortcut. Just absence. Collectors fixate on that emptiness because it separates common from catastrophic wealth. They study the spacing, the sharpness of the date, the texture around Washington's hairline. Tiny details you'd never notice, but they would. And once they see the right combination, they don't negotiate. They compete. At auctions, this isn't loud. It's quiet, aggressive, phones held close, bids climbing without emotion. Because collectors aren't buying a quarter, they're buying a disappearing opportunity. Most of them don't sell. They hold. Supply keeps shrinking. Demand keeps rising. And that's why today, even in circulated condition, this exact coin has reached market values around $155,000. That's not hype. That's real auction behavior. Think about that. A quarter people spend on soda is actually serious money. Hidden wealth, a silent fortune, a life-changing opportunity sitting in a drawer, a cup holder, a pocket. Do not spend this coin. Get it authenticated. Professional grading is critical because one small detail can change everything. If you're checking your coins, start with the date, then the mint mark or lack of one. Don't rush. Patience creates wealth in this world. The biggest mistakes come from panic, cleaning, or assuming it's just a quarter. Stay with me, because what comes next is even bigger. The next Washington quarter looks even uglier, even more ordinary. And it's far rarer, far more dangerous to ignore, and collectors are already fighting over it in ways most people never see. Next up, this coin gets people laughed at, right up until the moment a professional grader freezes and goes silent. Because at first glance, this quarter looks wrong. Dirty, spotted, almost damaged. Those tiny black dots scattered across the surface. Most people think they're corrosion. Most people think it's trash. And that mistake is exactly how a silent fortune disappears back into circulation. 1978 was not a relaxed year in the United States. The country was under economic strain. Inflation was squeezing everyday life, and the mint was under pressure to keep coins flowing fast. Denver was running hot. Speed mattered more than perfection. Dies were pushed longer than they should have been. Metal quality varied slightly batch to batch. That environment didn't just produce coins, it produced survivors. And this one survived with scars that collectors now obsess over. Hold this quarter in your hand, and it doesn't feel special at first. About 5.67 grams, roughly 24.3 millimeters across. Thickness right around 1.75 millimeters. The reeded edge, its girth, still bites your finger slightly when it's right. But the surface, that's where everything changes. Those black dots aren't random. They're the result of metal reaction under pressure, contamination during striking, and decades of untouched aging. They are fingerprints of the mint's stress. Look at the obverse. Washington's portrait looks calm, almost indifferent, but on true examples, the fields around his face feel slightly uneven under light. Not damage, stress. The date 1978 sits firm, and the D mint mark below it becomes an obsession point. Collectors stare at its placement, its thickness, the way it sinks into the metal. 1 millimeter off, and value collapses. One perfect placement, and everything explodes. Flip it over. The eagle on the reverse feels grounded, heavier than usual. The feathers don't pop, they sink. That's dye fatigue. That's production pressure. And mixed into that surface are those black specks, small, scattered, uneven. Cleaning them removes the story. And once the story is gone, so is the money. Never clean this coin. Not gently, not professionally, not just a little. Original surface is non-negotiable. Here's why survival is rare. Most quarters with spots were scrubbed, polished, or tossed. People hate ugly coins, but collectors chase them because those dots tell them this coin lived untouched through decades of circulation. Fine condition matters here, not shiny, not perfect. Just honest wear, original skin, and untouched color. That's what creates demand. And demand is rising quietly. Collectors don't brag about these. They don't flood forums. They move privately, aggressively. When a confirmed 1978 with D with authentic black dot pattern hits auction, bidding isn't emotional, it's strategic. Phones come out. Voices drop because they know supply is shrinking. These coins aren't being made again, and most of the survivors are already locked away. Today, this exact quarter, 1978 with D, black dot variety, fine condition, has reached real market values around $140,000. That's not rumor. That's not hype. That's what happens when hidden wealth collides with collector obsession. So hear this clearly. Do not spend this coin. Do not clean it. Do not assume spots mean damage. Check the date. Check the mint mark. Study the surface. If those black dots look natural, uneven, and aged, stop. Get it professionally graded. Patience here isn't boring, it's profitable. Most people miss this. They always have. And that's why this quarter is still hiding in plain sight, slipping through pockets, vending machines, and change jars, quietly carrying serious money. Stay with me, because the next coin doesn't just look ugly, it looks wrong. And that mistake has already cost people more than they'll ever know. Next up, this quarter is dangerous because it feels familiar. Too familiar. The kind of coin you have held 1,000 times, the kind your brain ignores before your eyes even finish looking at it. And that's exactly how people keep losing a silent fortune without ever realizing what just slipped through their hands. The 1979 with D Washington quarter doesn't shout. It waits. 1979 was not a stable moment in America. Inflation was biting hard. Confidence in money itself was shaky. The U.S. Mint was under relentless pressure to keep coins moving while the country adjusted to economic uncertainty. Denver was striking quarters fast, pushing equipment, stretching dies, and prioritizing output over precision. That kind of stress doesn't leave marks that scream. It leaves clues that only survivors carry. Pick this coin up, and it feels ordinary at first. About 5.67 grams in weight, a 24.3 millimeters diameter that fits perfectly between your fingers. Thickness right around 1.75 millimeters. The reeded edge, its girth, still feels firm, not rounded off. That physical balance is part of the trap. Nothing about it warns you that you're holding hidden wealth. On the obverse, Washington's portrait looks composed, almost calm, but collectors lean in close. They study the hair detail above the ear, the spacing of the letters in Liberty, the way the date 1979 presses into the metal. The D mint mark becomes a fixation point. Its position, its shape, its depth. Tiny differences that most people will never notice, and that collectors will pay aggressively for. Flip the coin over, and the eagle tells a quieter story. The feathers don't jump off the surface, they sink into it. That's die wear. That's production fatigue. The fields around the eagle often show a soft texture, not damage, but evidence of a mint under pressure. This isn't a flaw. It's a signature of the year. The composition is standard copper-nickel clad, but how that metal aged matters more than what it's made of. Circulated examples that still carry original color, no harsh shine, no artificial brightness, are extremely rare. Most were cleaned, polished, ruined, and once that original surface is gone, the value collapses. Cleaning destroys this coin forever. One wrong decision erases decades of survival. Here's why collectors care so deeply about circulated condition on this coin. A 1979 with D that looks used but untouched tells a story. It lived. It moved through hands, pockets, registers, decades, without someone trying to improve it. That natural wear, that honest dullness, that slightly darkened tone, that's what creates obsession. Survival is the miracle here. These quarters were never meant to be saved. They were workhorses, tools of daily life. And yet, a tiny fraction made it through without damage, without cleaning, without being melted into forgettable metal. Those survivors are disappearing fast, locked away by collectors who understand what most people still don't. At auctions, the energy around this coin is controlled but intense. No excitement on the surface, just fast bids, quiet raises, and sudden jumps that shock anyone watching casually. Collectors don't resell these easily. They hold them. They wait. Because demand keeps rising and supply keeps shrinking. That's why today, a confirmed 1979 with D Washington quarter in circulated condition has reached market values around $130,000. Serious money. Life-changing money. Hidden wealth disguised as pocket change. So hear this clearly. Do not spend this coin. Do not clean it. Do not assume wear means worthlessness. Check the date. Check the mint mark. Feel the edge. Look at the surface under real light. And if something feels right, stop. Professional grading is critical here because one overlooked detail can change everything. Most people miss this. They always have. And that's why these quarters are still being spent every single day by people who have no idea what they just gave away. Stay right here, because the next quarter doesn't just hide value, it hides a detail so small, so easy to overlook, that once you see it, you'll never look at your change the same way again. Next up, this is the year people trusted money the least, and trusted coins even less. Which is why this quarter slips past almost everyone. The 1982 D Washington quarter doesn't look rare, doesn't feel special, and doesn't beg for attention. It just waits. And that patience is how hidden wealth keeps getting spent like loose change. 1982 was heavy. America was grinding through economic pressure. Unemployment was high. Inflation had already scarred the system, and confidence was thin. The US Mint wasn't thinking about collectors. They were thinking about survival and speed. Denver was striking coins under stress, stretching dies longer than ideal, pushing production to meet demand. That kind of year doesn't produce perfection. It produces quiet anomalies, and a very small number of coins that make it through untouched. When you hold this quarter, it feels reassuringly normal. About 5.67 grams, a familiar 24.3 millimeters diameter, thickness close to 1.75 millimeters. The reeded edge, its girth, still feels crisp, not flattened. Everything about it says ordinary, and that's the danger. Because nothing about this coin warns you that you're holding a silent fortune. On the obverse, Washington's portrait looks strong and steady, but collectors don't look at his face first. They look around it. The fields, the smoothness, the way the light rolls across the surface. Extra fine condition is the sweet spot here. Light wear on the high points, but full detail still alive. The word liberty remains sharp. The date, 1982, sits clean. And then there's the D mint mark, small, precise, and obsessed over. Its placement, its depth, its shape under magnification can change everything. Flip it over, and the eagle tells the real story. The wings show detail without harshness. The feathers are intact, not mushy. The fields aren't shiny, they're calm. That balance is rare. It means the coin circulated just enough to age honestly, but never enough to be abused. Most didn't survive that way. The composition is standard copper-nickel clad, but in 1982 metal quality and die condition varied more than people realize. Under pressure, layers bond differently. Surfaces age differently. That's why original skin matters so much. The slightly muted tone, the soft gray, even a hint of darkness near the devices. This isn't dirt. This is authenticity. And once it's gone forever. Never clean this coin, not even gently. Cleaning doesn't restore, it erases. It strips away the very proof collectors are paying for. Original toning is everything here. It's what separates serious money from pocket change. Survival is the miracle. These quarters were used hard. Gas stations, grocery stores, payphones, vending machines. Almost all were cleaned, damaged, or worn down to nothing. Extra fine survivors are scarce, and every year fewer exist in original condition. Collectors know this. That's why they don't rush to sell. They hold. They wait. They quietly remove supply from the market. At auction, this coin doesn't create chaos, it creates tension. Bids move fast but calm. No speeches. No hype. Just quiet competition from people who understand that demand is rising and replacement is nearly impossible. This isn't a coin people flip. It's a coin they protect. That's how a 1982 with D Washington quarter in extra fine condition has climbed to market values around $105,000. Serious money, life-changing money, quiet wealth hiding in plain sight. So listen carefully. Do not spend this coin. Do not clean it. Do not assume wear means worthless. Check the date. Confirm the mint mark. Study the surface under real light. Feel the edge. And if it looks honest, stop. Professional grading is critical because one microscopic detail can change the outcome completely. Most people miss this year entirely. And that's why these quarters are still being dropped into tip jars and vending machines every day, carrying money that could change everything. Stay with me because the next quarter isn't just rare. It carries a detail so overlooked, so misunderstood, that once you hear it, you'll realize how many fortunes have already been lost. Next up, this is the coin people throw away the fastest. The one that looks embarrassing, dark, grimy. The kind of quarter someone wipes on their jeans before handing it to a cashier. And that single moment, that instinct to get rid of it, is how a hidden treasure vanishes forever. The 1991p Washington quarter in old, dirty, circulated condition is one of the most misunderstood coins still hiding in plain sight. 1991 was a turning point year. The country was shifting. The economy was tightening. The U.S. was moving into a new era of uncertainty, and the mint was focused on volume, not perfection. Philadelphia was striking massive quantities of coins, pushing machinery hard, stretching die life, and accepting surface irregularities that would never pass today. That pressure created coins that aged differently, coins that picked up character instead of shine. When you pick this quarter up, it doesn't impress you. It feels like change, about 5.67 grams, a standard 24.3 millimeters diameter, thickness close to 1.75 millimeters. The reeded edge, its girth, often still feels sharp, even when the faces look tired. That contrast is one of the first things collectors notice, and most people never do. The obverse looks muted. Washington's portrait isn't flashy, it's subdued, softened by time. Dirt settles into the lettering of liberty, and around the date, 1991. And right there is the detail that changes everything, the P-mint mark. Small, easy to overlook, absolutely critical. Collectors fixate on its shape, its alignment, and the untouched metal around it. Cleaning removes that evidence instantly. Flip the coin over, and the eagle feels heavier than it looks. The feathers are still there, but they don't shine, they rest. The fields often appear dark, uneven, sometimes almost stained. This is where people panic and ruin everything. That darkness isn't damage. It's age. It's proof the coin was never stripped, polished, or improved. That ugly surface is exactly what makes this coin valuable. The composition is copper-nickel clad, but decades of circulation affect how those layers tone. In 1991, subtle differences in metal bonding and die pressure created surfaces that trap grime and oxidize unevenly. Collectors want that. They want originality. They want evidence the coin survived untouched through years when most were destroyed by cleaning. Never clean this coin, not even a light rinse. Cleaning kills the story. And without the story, there is no money. Original dirt, darkness, and antique skin are not flaws here. They're assets. Survival is rare because human behavior is predictable. People hate dirty coins. They scrub them. They spend them fast. They toss them aside. Very few 1991 with P quarters made it through decades without interference. And that's why collectors chase them so aggressively now. These aren't being flipped. They're being locked away. Auction behavior around this coin is quiet but ruthless. No hype, no shouting, just sudden jumps in bids when the right example appears. Collectors know supply is shrinking. They know replacement is nearly impossible. And they know once these are gone, they're gone. That's how an old, dirty, circulated 1991 with P Washington quarter has reached real market values around $120,000. Serious money, silent fortune, life-changing opportunity hiding in something most people rush to get rid of. So let this sink in. Do not spend this coin. Do not clean it. Do not assume dirt means worthless. Check the date. Confirm the mint mark. Look at the surface under natural light. Feel the edge. And if it looks honest, stop. Professional grading is critical because one wrong move can erase everything. Final thought. The most valuable coins aren't always shiny. Sometimes they're ugly. Sometimes they're ignored. Sometimes they're sitting at the bottom of a jar, carrying hidden wealth no one ever bothered to see. And don't leave yet, because the next video dives into a coin that looks even more common than this one, but has already shocked collectors in ways that feel unreal. Once you hear about it, you'll never trust your pocket change again.